Welcome to another exciting edition of the Part-Time Preppers. Silver and gold blanket, because it's going to get cold, in my humble opinion. I will not speak probably as eloquently on this topic as maybe Cull Silver, or Julius Maltby, or Silver Fortune, even Salivate Metal. But I will give it a shot on a serious video here. What is the silver and gold blanket? You'll realize it at the end, hopefully. Uh, Let's start with pension funds. Okay, more and more, I'm going to show off some silver, maybe a little gold as we do this, because I don't want you too bored. But pension funds, city, state, U.S. federal government, uh, yeah, a lot of them are getting in trouble, and you'll see city by city. It's even in our local newspapers. Teachers, nothing wrong with teachers, but a lot of them I think were promised too much and a lot of mishandling of their funds, and that has caused a lot of problems. So when all these people, all these baby boomers, which are about to retire, a lot of them have already, and I'd say we're about at halftime of the baby boomers retiring. It's just going to get worse and worse because I, I don't know. Taxes would have to double. How would they pay all these pensions? I know a federal employee, hardworking guy, after 30 years, great guy, love him. He's making 60 grand a year. I'm happy for him, but I just don't see how that will continue because it's just like a car leaking oil. Sooner or later, the engine's going to blow. So you have your pension funds. Now, I would assume a lot of them are tied into the stock market. And the stock market, it's all-time highs. It's doing fantastic. Loving those stocks. But they're still in crisis, a lot of them. So now if the stock market, it's just common sense to me. If the stock market crashes or just a severe correction, that's even more problems. Just ask the Zombuk. There you go. So that's your pension problems. Now you have things, oh, we're 20 plus trillion in debt. And that's, just what's on the face. Some people say up to 80 trillion to 100 trillion. Take Puerto Rico. Now, I love Puerto Rico. I was there once with the hand model, but nothing against Puerto Rico. But they were financially strapped. Again, things stolen, mismanaged, wonderful island. And then they get hit with a horrible catastrophe. Okay? Now, I just saw the other night Nancy Pelosi talking about, well, we're not going to bail them out. No, no. We're going to give them a loan. Yes, a loan. That's like saying to a college student that's, whatever, $60,000 in debt from school, doesn't have a really good job in their field, they can't make their rent, but you're going to give them a loan to see their way through another loan to pay off. It's just, it's too much of a burden. However you look at it, I'm full of analogies. So there you have that. Now let's Puerto Rico. Here, let's talk about this. I'll give you another analogy. When I was a kid, we had a flood, a major flood where I lived. Now, what was funny about that flood is my father, he was affected by the same river when he was a child. I was 12, he was 10, I believed. Now, that flood way back then, most of you people weren't born when that flood happened. Anyway, that flood affected him where it went, I would say like to the front steps of his house. At least the way he explained it. The streets were flooded. I don't even know if he got water in the basement. And he talked about that flood, same river. And then when we were having our flood, many years later, I was 12, he was a middle-aged man. I think he just kept thinking of that flood because he didn't seem that excited as we were. And I was only 12, listening to the radio, and my mother and sister, and we seemed to get a little more excited because I think in the back of his mind, it was going to be like the flood he experienced, and maybe we'll get a little bit of water in the basement. And we started chucking things up. Where there's a 2-story house, we started chucking things up to the attic, not the attic, the second floor. And he kind of raised his eyebrows and thought we were silly. and he started like just putting things on the kitchen table. God bless him. But he worked hard after that flood. We got our house back together. It took a couple of years because that flood, the water ended up going about 7 foot on the first floor. Yes, a couple of the neighbors' houses were totaled. One knocked off the foundation. Ours is just built sturdy enough to take it, but boy, I can't remember. And I look at all the devastation from Harvey and the other couple hurricanes we've had, and I can kind of feel for those people with all the garbage in front of their house. That's exactly what our house looked like, with literally tons of drywall, hardwood flooring, everything ripped out, gutted. But so I think of his flood as the 2008 crisis, and I'm thinking the next flood that's gonna come, I think of it more like the next crisis that's about to happen. Now, whether it's this year, 5 years from now, I do not know. I don't think most of us do. Yes, that was the year my mother was born, if you could read out that year, 1926. Anyway, so I think it's a very good idea because, financially speaking, I have a modest IRA. I had to take, our company changed hands, and I took it out. We got the option to take it out. I put it in a bank. So it's, basically my IRA, but the man from the bank, the financial man, must call at least once every 4 months because it's in just a stable fund making, at the present time, it's like making 1.7%, which is good. But he must call every 4 months telling me, I could double, triple your money. Let's put it in this or that. And I just have no faith at the moment to try anything like that. Yes, you work hard a long time for your funds, and then you just don't want to take the chance. And so there you have it. Let's see, did I miss anything else? Well, there will be a part 2. It'll be briefer than this one. But I just think that all the debt and the loans and money people cannot pay off, it just goes on and on. And this preservation of wealth, which I'll try to show in part 2, I just think, anywhere from 10 to 20% in precious metals, hard assets of any kind that you think are valuable, land is pretty good investment, and prepping for 2, 3, 4 months isn't a bad idea. I mean, just ask the people in Venezuela. I know most people think things like that cannot happen here. But I mean, if you look at some of our inner cities, parts of Dallas, Detroit, I mean, they're ghost towns. They are like places you don't want to be. And not that it ought to be all doom and gloom, but I think it's important to realize that things could go south. You may need a blanket. It may get chilly. And to me, this is a nice blanket to give you warm thoughts at night. And there you have it. We do not want to be the Titanic. Do not get on the Titanic. So don't put all your eggs in one basket or on one ship, or you may sink. So that's about it for our little discussion on the silver and gold blanket. I will have a quick part 2 to finish this baby off. Until the next time, you take care, be good, keep stacking. Bye-bye from the Part-Time Preppers.